welcome back to the Batch Lady, where today I am showing you freezable quiche. So on the Batch Lady channel I show you how to make fast, simple homemade meals that you can make in advance, put in your freezer and use whenever you want. And it's summertime and quiche is a perfect summer dish. And people think quiche is hard. It's not. This is a recipe that my mother actually showed me years and years and years ago, and I still follow it and make quiche exactly the same way. It works great, it freezes great, and it's very simple, so here it goes. Okay, so I've got a little quiche dish, and I've got some butter, and I'm just going to just run the butter around the dish. I don't want too much, I just want enough that my pastry is not going to stick. There we go, that'll do. Now, I've already rolled out my pastry just because if not, this video would take a bit longer, but this is just ready, shop-bought pastry. I didn't use the ready-to-roll one because the ready-to-roll one is a bit too long for this dish, so I wanted to roll it out myself. So, but I'm actually using puff pastry. I don't know why, it was my mother's recipe. We've always made quiche with puff pastry. It is delicious, okay? So what you want to do is put some flour down, roll out just your already bought shop-bought puff pastry, and then put your pastry into the quiche dish. Now some people use silicone now, and then you can freeze it and then you can peel it off, and your dish isn't left in the freezer. I tend to just leave these dishes in the freezer because I've got quite a lot of them, and because I've got a lot of them, I've never tried silicone yet. But if you have tried silicone and you're watching this, give us a shout out, let us know how it goes. Do you manage to get your quiche out of your silicone dish? Now you want to make sure that it's pressed all the way in, and you don't want it to be strained at all, so make sure it's all in the corners, okay? Now you want to just mark some little holes in the bottom. Now, how I like to cut my rim around the edge is quite messy, okay? I don't cut it at the very top, I cut it around the edge, because if you cut it too close in, I find sometimes the pastry goes in on itself, okay? And you end up that, the filling comes back out. So I like to cut it about 1 centimetre below the bottom of the dish, and I like to cut it roughly. Why? Because I want to prove that it's homemade and not shop bought. You can cut it very neatly if you want, but some people think it's shop bought. So I quite like that rustic look of a puff pastry quiche with a nice bit on the edge, and it's sometimes quite nice having a big chunk of puff pastry. Now, something like that, I'll reuse that. We'll make something with the kids. We'll make some little ones or something like that, so you don't need to throw it away. Right, so you have got your puff pastry in your mould. You've then put some little dots in. And this one is going to be cheese, ham and tomatoes. So I've just got some shop-bought cheese, some shop-bought ham. And all I tend to do, I just usually use really cheap ham for this. But because we're just eating it with the kids and stuff of a lunch. But if you wanted to make a fancy one, you could get some really fancy ingredients. I'm going to put a few different quiche recipes up, ones that I know that work and freeze very well. This is just the first one. Look out for my video on a breakfast quiche, which is amazing. A great one for breakfast, and if you've got people over, you could do a huge one and just bring it out and everybody gets a slice of it. It's really yummy. Right, so in the bottom of my dish, I'm putting my ham. I'm putting some cheese. I've already got this grated cheese, okay? I actually just had it out of a packet already grated, which is perfect for this sort of thing. And some little baby tomatoes that I've just chopped up. So I put all my filling in first before I put the egg wash in. Okay, so then in this bowl, I've got, I think for this, I put 7 eggs. I might not quite need it all, and you just want to give it a mix around. Then you want to salt and pepper. Quite a lot. I put quite a lot of flavouring in this one because it's not like, sometimes I do like goat's cheese and asparagus, which is a really strong flavour, so you don't need as much. But with this one, and I always think egg should be salty. So please subscribe below, click on the red button if you want any more of my recipes. Remember, you can get them at www.batchlady.com. Now, I just put a little glug of milk, just a tiny amount, okay? And give it a stir around. Then all you're going to do is you're going to pour it in, and you want it to come right up to the top. You don't want it to be pouring over, but you want it up to the top. Then everything sort of moves around, and you can just give it a little move around yourself so that you can see a bit of ham in there, and the tomatoes, it looks like everybody's getting a slice of a tomato. Right, then you're going to take the rest of your grated cheese, okay? If you're looking for all the exact recipe, remember you'll get it on my website, where you can watch the video again, or you can just print off the recipe. And we're going to put the last of the grated cheese over the top. Now this one is got quite a lot of cheese in it, but that's because it is cheese, ham and tomato, and so you need quite a lot of cheese. Now, top tip when you're cooking a quiche is it might often go sort of awry, or so I always put it on a dish, and then you're not cleaning the bottom of your oven just in case a bit spills over. Okay, so that's going into the oven now, probably for about 40 minutes, but check the recipe that I put just to make sure. Ta-da! Here we have one quiche. Now let me put my oven glove on and see if I can hold it up for you. There we go. A perfect quiche. Cheese, ham and tomato. Now guys, you just want to leave that to cool, and it's going to start to settle back down, okay? What I should have said as well is usually after about the first 20 minutes it starts to brown on top, but it's not cooked in the middle. I just put some foil over the top of it like that, and then put it in until I think it's done. When I take it out, it's usually about 40 minutes for this quiche, but what I like to do is just put a fork in the top of it. Put your fork in and just have a look down. If there's any more liquid, you know you need to put it back in again. Now quite often this quiche has not the crispest bottom. Okay, it's not a soggy bottom, but it's not the crispest bottom. That's how we like it in our house. If you wanted a crisp bottom, you would have to sort of blind bake the pastry first, and that's too much hassle for me. I never do that. We just enjoy it with a bit of a soggy bottom. So that's the quiche. Thanks very much for watching. Make sure you get the all the recipes and everything at www.batchlady.com. Please subscribe below and give me a thumbs up, and leave a message if you want me to do a different type of quiche. Okay, thanks, bye.